Eleanor from Der Spiegel. Eleanor, what are you working on today?
So right now, the U.S. Senate has begun discussions regarding the allegations against Mayor Daley and his corruption. So I'm primarily focusing on an article regarding the accusations against him, what's going on in the Senate and the Chicago City Council.
Where do you think those discussions will lead?
Well, from what I can tell right now, there is a fair bit of evidence against Mayor Daley, so I think that this will eventually lead to a possible indictment or a formal trial held against Mayor Daley.
The Daleys seem to have a lot of power in Chicago. Do you think they will be able to get past the Senate with this?
Yes, the Daleys do have a fair amount of influence and have kind of trickled their way down through the system, but I think that one step that needs to be taken is to eliminate the corruption within the Senate and find who has the largest connections to the Daley family in order to really get moving on indicting him and starting a formal trial against him.
Thank you, Eleanor.
Thank you.
Now I'm here with Rachel from The Guardian. Rachel, tell us what you're working on.
Yeah, so I've been focusing on the Democratic National Convention that took place yesterday. Specifically, I wrote an article outlining just the process of kind of what went down and how Vice President Hubert Humphrey garnered the Democratic presidential nomination. And during the press conference yesterday, he actually made an appearance, and I was able to ask him a question, specifically why he withdrew his name from the ballot with current President Lyndon B. Johnson, and then why he accepted the presidential nomination. So I got some good quotes from him, and I look forward to sharing those with the public.
Awesome. How do you think LBJ feels about all of this?
You know, LBJ said himself, if you don't have the votes, you don't have the voice, and I think the general America probably agrees, and I know that current Vice President Hubert Humphrey does as well. So the U.S. Cabinet also in the press conference yesterday said that LBJ just wants what's best for America, so I think that's where he kind of stands right now.
Great. We look forward to reading more in your publication.
Thank you.
We're here with Emma from El País. Emma, please tell us what you're working on today.
I'm working on an article concerning the Belgium versus Spain case in the International Court of Justice, where Belgium brought the case to the International Court of Justice because they're shareholders with Spain in the Light and Power Company based in Canada, and Belgium feels that Spain should pay them a price for their actions, which are still unclear, as Spain has decided not to come to the table for the case. The main goal in the case was to decide if Belgium had effective ownership or not.
How did Spain's non-involvement affect this case?
It made it very difficult, considering that the whole situation was largely vague because Spain was deeply needed to clarify. But ultimately, the committee was able to decide that Belgium really had no case, even if it had effective ownership or not. It did not have a basis for a case.
Great. I look forward to seeing more in your publication.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. We're here with AJ from the Sydney Morning Herald. AJ, tell us what you're working on.
So I'm recently following a story about Paraguay petitioning all of its territory to the UN Security Council. And several larger countries are trying to jump on this offer, and they're trying to control the majority of Paraguay. However, other smaller countries believe it's their time to colonize other territories, so they're fighting back the larger countries in the UN Security Council.
The smaller countries stand a chance against these larger nations?
I believe it'll be difficult considering that these larger countries are permanent members of the UN Security Council, so they'll likely veto any proposition that the smaller countries make that doesn't go with their beliefs or doesn't go with these larger countries, like what they want to accomplish in the partition of Paraguay.
Interesting. I look forward to seeing the rest unravel throughout the day.
Thank you.